wanted to cop some dope, and it was a setup. I had a substantial amount of drugs in the car. I had a handgun in the car, and I knew with my criminal history that I was probably going to spend the rest of my life in the penitentiary. I was surrounded by the drug task force. There must have been 10, 15 cops surrounding my car at gunpoint. They wanted me to come out with my hands up, and I had a pistol on it under my seat, and I reached for it. And I actually had my hand on the butt of the gun, and as I raised my head to look up, I see my daughter's picture on my speedometer. It's where I kept a picture of my kids, and it was enough to make me let go of the gun, you know. I didn't want my kids to grow up without me. My name is Drew Hicks, and I'm a recovering addict. My active addiction spans over a period of 25 years. I was an IV drug user for 22 years of that. Every day was the same for me, day in and day out. You know, I was wake up, if I even went to bed that night, thinking about how I was gonna get my next high, and I would rob, steal, manipulate, whatever I had to do. And then living my life that way, it was a very criminal lifestyle. In the process, I acquired 13 felony drug convictions and 56 misdemeanor drug convictions. My last drug arrest was February 26, 2016, which is my clean date. Like I had told you guys before, I was set up and I went to jail. I was in the county jail for 2.5 months, and I was under the assumption that I was getting ready to spend the rest of my life in prison. I screwed off my whole adult life. I ruined my relationship with my parents. I lost custody of my children. I made every poor choice that a person could probably make when your child looks at you through glass and asks you, am I not enough for you to quit? But am I not enough for you to stop? That was it for me. You know, I'd spent over 14.5 years of my life in prison already. I didn't know what the problem was. I just knew I couldn't figure this out. I had a pain inside of me that I wasn't ever willing or prepared to deal with. And I remember asking God, I was like, if you could throw me another bone here, I would really appreciate it. I probably don't deserve it. In fact, I know I don't deserve it, but I promise you, if you help me, I will devote my life to recovery. At 42, you know, that light bulb finally went off in my head. I realized that, you know, I wasn't getting any younger. You know, I was middle-aged, and this dope game wasn't changing. It was getting worse for me. I always believed that I was that one addict that was unique in this struggle, that I was going to make an active addiction work for my life. I believed that, you know, I was gonna figure it out. I was gonna make it work. Thinking that way ultimately almost killed me. I was in the county jail. Behind the scenes, there were some things happening in my life that I didn't know. I had a probation officer. She believed in me. Later on, we've talked numerous times because I actually work with her today, helping addicts get into treatment. She tells me the story. She's like, I presented your name to the drug court. She believed that I was a prime candidate for that. I didn't know that she was doing all this behind the scenes. You know, this was happening while I was sitting over there in the county jail. And she told me later that they laughed when they first heard my name. They said that Drew Hicks will make a mockery of this program. I graduated the drug court program on November 7th, 2017. During my participation in drug court, I was introduced to a 12-step fellowship. Drug court, 12-step fellowship tied together ultimately is what saved Drew's life. I was introduced to a power greater than myself. You know, I had always believed that it was my way, it was my will. And with this 12-step fellowship, as well as drug court, I was able to see that there's something out there in the universe a lot greater than Drew. And having implemented that into my life, I was able to live my life successfully. What I love the most about recovery is that everything that I lost in my active addiction, I've learned that you can get it all back if application is applied. And so I regained custody of my daughters. You know, it was probably my biggest accomplishment in my life. I haven't regained custody of my boys yet, but I'm going to counseling today to get them implemented back into my life as well. Today, working in treatment, it gives me the ability to help distill sick and suffering. Because, I remember vividly the feeling of desperation, the feeling of misery and insanity. I lived my life in a very insane world for over a quarter of a century. So today, God has given me this ability to connect with the still sick and suffering, because I remember the darkness, and I remember it well. I keep constant memories of my active addiction in my mind today, because it's like a constant reminder of where it is I was and where it is I never want to be again. In open court, Dan Hampton, prosecutor, when I graduated the drug court program, said that Drew Hicks was not supposed to succeed. I had painted a picture of who you were, and I had a list of 3 people. He had a list of 3 people on his desk of people who were never going to make it, people who were going to either die from a drug overdose or spend the rest of their life in prison. And he had admitted in open court that my name was at the top of that list. He said that my success in the drug court program changed his perspective on addicts. He said if Drew Hicks can figure this out, then there's not an addict in this world that can't.